Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Surah Balad. Central theme and relationship with the preceding surah. This surah forms a pair with Surah Fajr, the previous surah. There is no essential difference between the central theme of both surahs. In the previous surah, man is corrected on a misconception, and that is, when he receives a favor, he is overcome with pride and conceit, thinking that this was his right and that God has actually honored him. On the other hand, when he is faced with some trial, he starts to despair and becomes sad, thinking that he has been denied a right and that he has been humiliated by God. The truth of the matter is that both these circumstances are neither meant to honor him nor to humiliate him. Through both, the Almighty actually tests his perseverance and sense of showing gratitude to him. In this regard, the correct attitude is that neither should a person show pride on receiving a favor, nor should he despair and become dejected if he is deprived of it. When he receives a favor, he should express gratitude to God and should share this favor with the needy. And when he is faced with hardships, then instead of complaining and brooding and blaming God, he should accept this fate wholeheartedly and show perseverance. A person who adopts this attitude is a person whose soul is at peace and will be blessed with what is stated thus in Surah Fajr, Radiyatan Mardiyya, or they will be happy with their Lord and their Lord will be happy with them. Surah number 89, verse 28. In this surah, this formula is applied on the Quraysh and shown that at that time when Abraham ﷺ settled his son Ishmael ﷺ in Mecca, it was not only devoid of resources of sustenance and livelihood, it was also devoid of peace and security. However, it was a result of the prayer which Abraham ﷺ made for Ishmael and his progeny before the Almighty to bless them with resources of sustenance and with peace that soon the land not only became abundant with these resources, it also became so secure that harming even an animal came to be regarded as a sin, what to speak of human beings. It was as a result of both these provisions that the progeny of Ishmael ﷺ progressed and multiplied greatly here and assumed the leadership of the whole country. However, after receiving these favors, these people forgot their previous history. They are now overcome with the claim that whatever they have is their birthright. Spending in the way of God weighs down heavily upon them. They never learn lessons from incidents which happen in their lives. Their tongues seldom sing the praises of their Lord and seldom express perseverance. Expressions of virtue and kindness also are not found in their conversation. Their wealth is spent for their own merrymaking and other wasteful activities. None of them has the resolve to attain success in the hereafter by making sacrifices for the welfare of the poor and the needy. All of them are treading the path that leads to hell. Since these verses belong to the early Meccan period, the address is generally by the words, Ya ayyuhal insan, or O man. And the appeal found in them is upon humanitarian grounds and upon its natural norms. Analysis of the Discourse. Section 1, verses 1 to 4. Testimony is presented from the early history of Mecca and that of the Ishmaelites on the fact that this land was absolutely barren and desolate. Life here was very tough and exacting. However, as a result of the favor of God, of the supplication made by Abraham ﷺ, and of the blessings of the house of God, this land became safe and secure, and its inhabitants were blessed with abundance in food resources. Section 2, verses 5 to 7. As an obligation towards these favors and blessings of God, these people should have expressed gratitude to Him and lent support and help to the needy. On the contrary, when they are called to spend in the way of God, they cry out that they have already spent a fortune on this, and how much more should they give? It is as if they think that the Almighty is not witnessing their wasteful spending. Section 3, verses 8 to 17. These greedy and avaricious people are rebuked that the Almighty had given them eyes so that they could use them to learn the lessons of life, tongue and lips so that they could use them to urge people in helping the poor and needy, and the awareness of good and evil so that they could fight the temptation to evil and do virtuous deeds, help in feeding the poor and profess faith, and call people to be sympathetic and compassionate. However, after receiving all this, instead of serving their Lord, they ended up in servitude to their wealth and riches. Section 4, verses 18 to 20. If these people had adopted the right path, they would have been entitled to great reward in the hereafter. On the contrary, they rejected the revelations of the Almighty and earned the fire of hell for themselves. Text of the Surah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لا أقسم بهذا البلد وأنت حل بهذا البلد ووالد وما ولد لقد خلقنا الإنسان في كبد أيحسب أن لن يقدر عليه أحد يقول أهلكت مالا لبدا أيحسب أن لم يره أحد ألم نجعل له عينين ولسانا وشفتين وهديناه النجدين فلاقتحم العقبة وما أدراك ما العقبة فك رقبة أو إطعام في يوم ذي مسغبة يتيما ذا مقربة أو مسكينا ذا متربة ثم كان من الذين آمنوا وتواصوا بالصبر وتواصوا بالمرحمة أولئك أصحاب الميمنة والذين كفروا بآياتنا هم أصحاب المشأمة عليهم نار مؤصدة.
Translation of the Surah. In the name of God, the most gracious, the ever merciful. No, I swear by this city, and you are its inhabitant, and by the Father and his progeny, that we created man in a state of hardship. Does he think that no one has power over him? He says, I have wasted heaps of money. Does he think that no one has seen him? Have we not given him 2 eyes and a tongue and 2 lips, and not shown him the 2 ways? But he did not surmount the steep path. And what have you understood what this steep path is? Freeing of a slave, or feeding in days of famine, of an orphan near of kin, or an indigent down in the dust. Then he be of those who accepted faith, and who counseled one another to be patient and sympathetic. These are the fortunate, and those who have denied our revelations, it is they who are the unfortunate. The fire shall close in on them. Explanation of the Surah. لا أقسم بهذا البلد. No, I swear by this city. The word la, or no, occurs here the way it does in لا أقسم بيوم القيامة, or no, I swear by the day of judgment, Surah number 75, verse 1. Similarly, it also occurs in this manner at some other instances in the Qur'an. I have already explained such instances. Here it is meant to negate a false notion of the addressees referred to in the previous surah and precedes the oath. It is mentioned in the previous surah that when people are blessed with status and affluence, they, while regarding this to be a result of their own planning, become conceited and express the fact it was because of being highly regarded by God that they have been given more by Him than others. This erroneous view is refuted in the previous surah from a particular angle, whilst here it is refuted from another angle. This refutation begins with la, or no, which is actually disproving this false notion. In other words, so baseless and absurd is this notion that citing arguments for its absurdity is not even required before disproving it. This style is found in every language and is adopted when the purpose is to express the absurdity of a view. The oath sworn here is meant to bear witness to a claim mentioned ahead by the words لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانَ فِي كَبَدٍ. The words بِهَذَا الْبَلَدْ, or this city, refer to the city of Mecca. In Surah Teen, this city has been sworn by the words وَهَذَا الْبَلَدِ الْأَمِينَ, or and this secure city bears witness, Surah number 95, verse 3. Like most other Quranic oaths, this oath too has not been sworn by Mecca, because it is a sacred place. It has been sworn to bear witness to a claim which is mentioned ahead. وَأَنْتَ حِلٌّ بِهَذَا الْبَلَدِ, and you are its inhabitant. This is a parenthetical sentence and is meant to emphasize the oath. The addressing pronoun in it can be both for the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and for the Quraysh. In both cases, there will not be much difference in the interpretation of the verse. The implication is that it is not that the testimony of a far-flung area is being presented whose history and background need to be gained by the Prophet or the Quraysh after some effort. Both have lived here and are well aware of its past and present. This place is their cherished residence and sanctuary. Its history is their own history. They are encountering all the circumstances of their lives in this very place. Hence, they can fully assess whether whatever is being said to them is the truth or is an exaggeration or something artificial. وَوَالِدٍ وَمَا وَلَدٍ, and by the father and his progeny. After the parenthetical sentence, this part is related to the oath mentioned in the first verse and actually completes it. The word walid, or father, obviously refers to Abraham ﷺ and Ishmael ﷺ, and ma walad, or his progeny, refers to the progeny of Ishmael ﷺ, which first settled in Mecca and later spread to all Arabia. The fact that the word walid is not defined by the article alif lam can incorporate two meanings into it. It can connote grandeur and majesty, and it can also connote scarcity and thereby include both Abraham and Ishmael into it. Similarly, the generality found in ma walad is meant to include all the Ishmaelites, whatever be the branch from which they descend.